Hey there, Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading, wanting to thank you for stopping by to watch this interview and also make it clear to you that this is not a paid-for promotion. I collect no compensation for the interviews I do here. These companies have been identified as opportunities for investment that could provide an above average return on our investment. This is our opportunity to get to know management, to understand the vision for the company, the strategy they plan to implement, and execute to achieve that vision for the company. So if you learn anything here today and you enjoyed the interview, please do us a favor and subscribe to the Alpha Wolf Trading YouTube channel. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with a follow-up interview with John Lai from PetVivo. The ticker symbol is PETV, traded on the NASDAQ. This is like close to my heart story because it involves animals, and I think I love animals more than I love people. So John, I want to thank you for taking the time and coming back and giving us an update on what's happening with PetVivo.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Tim. I look forward to giving you the full story and the progress we made since our last conversation. And I'm sure your viewers are quite happy from the pricing of the stock from the last time we talked to now.
Right. Well, it's interesting because the stock continues to build a very interesting, I like to call it a launching platform, but right, because you've been in consolidation now for quite a while, and I think when you do hit that inflection point, you're gonna have quite a launch. That's my view, anyway. Right.
Yeah. Well, we've gone through a tough market where our stock, probably from the time we talked, was $1.30. We closed today at $2.30. So up $1 is not bad in this market when everybody else is down 60% or 70%. So I feel we're doing a good job and it's stepping up.
And I agree. And you've had some big announcements since we first talked, right?
Sure.
With the distributor, that's a pretty sizable distributor.
Yeah, I'll kind of go over some of the larger developments that have occurred since our last conversation. So we have added more regional sales reps. The latest one being Paula from Zoetis. She was at Zoetis for 27 years and very successful out there. So it was quite a splash within the industry of people that know her. We got a lot of messages, how did you land her and stuff? Well, the good thing is it was because of MWI. When we signed a partnership with MWI, she says, "Olin, what's going on with this company? How did MWI do an exclusive distribution?" She started researching us and started talking to some of the vets. She contacted Mark Middleton, our national sales director. And then Mark calls and says, "Hey, we can land this person. I want to grab her." I said, "Go ahead, let's get her in." So she jumped ship, joined us in September, and she handles basically the West Coast for distribution and coverage for the MWI reps out there. So she has California, Oregon, and Washington. And California is the largest market obviously for equine and so on. I think they represent like close to 30% of the horses, or probably 20% in the United States. So we were able to land her. Now we have 5 regional sales reps. So everybody was wondering why I was pulling in these very seasoned regional sales reps that one would think that would not be going out and calling on individual vet clinics. And it's very true because they're used to managing a lot of sales reps under them. And I was betting on that we would get this MWI distribution agreement. But it's beyond just a distribution agreement. It's an exclusive distribution agreement where they have to hit certain numbers every year to maintain it. And it goes up to a total of 3 years. And it's not just on Spryng with OsteoCushion Technology, our product, our lead product for managing osteoarthritis, lameness, joint afflictions, and rehab. It's other veterinary products that goes right in. So MWI is about $5 billion in sales in the veterinary space just in the United States. About a month ago, they acquired the largest distributor in Europe and the Middle East for the veterinary space. So we have the ability to really, as the product is working well here, we're getting good launch, we have the ability to go international. They have all the contacts and channels already in place. So we're excited about that relationship. But beyond just the distribution, they have a division called Securos, which is their education on. Veterinarians, just like human medical doctors, have to have continuing medical education. Securos is one of the largest in providing the continuing medical education. They also do a lot of the new technology or new procedures, demonstrations. They're certified for all that. So in some of their videos or training coming up, they'll be using the Spryng product and also giving a narrative how different and how disruptive or innovative the Spryng technology is. So we're very excited about that. We're pretty much at every trade show they're at. We're in their booth. We got our product being displayed. So those are the fundamental stuff that has happened within the PetVivo space, or what I would say milestones that we have hit. Now, another major milestone is we talked about a study with Ethos for dogs. That study was completed at the end of October, and obviously it goes through a reviewing and process. So they asked, the good thing is they asked to have it published in two of the best, what we consider best medical journals for dogs.
Oh,
veterinary doctors. So I don't think they would be asking to have it published in those if the results were bad. Obviously, it's blinded, so we don't know. But we're pretty comfortable when they asked for that. And they also asked if we would sponsor them presenting at different conferences the findings of the study. And we said, absolutely, we'll pay for it because I guess the host company is responsible for paying the rooms and lunches for the docs to get the continuing medical education credits, which we're fully excited about that. Also, Ethos is owned by NVA, which is the parent company, but they also own 2,000 small animal clinics for veterinary in the United States. So we feel with that study getting published in February could be a big catalyst for us, because all of a sudden their own vets are going to say, well, we're not going to question our own organization study. If it's that good, we're going to just start using it. And then having MWI, they sell to 90% of the veterinary clinics in the United States. So we actually try to steer all of our vets to them direct, because the vets, their purchasing managers are so used to ordering with MWI, and they also have terms with them. So they may have 15 days or 30-day terms with us. They have to pay up front. So we actually say, go to them, and MWI loves that. And we want to keep supporting them, because as we bring other products on, they will get benefits of it. And then also we announced yesterday, we'll be starting, I think at the end of November, the feline study for Spryng to treat cats. And that should take about 6 months. We should have that out. And then we have several other studies going with Innovative. The Colorado State study is finally back on schedule with a lot of new dogs in it, and that should be completed. We were targeting December of 2023. So we're still on track to get that completed by then. But obviously, it gets peer reviewed. So it could take anywhere from 3 to 6 months before it gets published.
Right.
So we're excited about all those catalysts coming up. And then November 18th, we announced that we will be at the American Association of Equine Practitioners. It's the largest equine practitioner show in the United States, and the AAEP is the largest organization. And our lead advisory board member, Dr. Tracy Turner, is president-elect of the organization. and he's been to the last 8 U.S. Olympics as a surgeon there, and Pan Am Games and so on. So he's very well respected. And he's been using our product for so many years, and he's the one that did the whole series of training videos on the PetVivo website. Excuse me. Actually, it's the sprynghealth.com site because that's more designed for veterinary doctors. And within there, as part of the educational process, we've had several prominent surgeons in the canine space do a whole series of videos and training on the Spryng Health website YouTube channel. So that's all supportive for MWI, and that ethos study will be very important for MWI to roll out to the canine clinics because they're getting very good traction in the equine space. We're seeing the product used in so many different settings beyond horse racing, hunter jumper, rodeo horses. Now we're seeing just standard horses getting injected to improve quality of life, or in some cases, saving the horse's life. We had one situation where a horse was on the ground, lost 200 and some pounds because it couldn't eat, it couldn't get up. And the vet was scheduled to euthanize him. And the vet said, let's just try Spryng and see what happens. They injected the horse with Spryng. 6 days later, the horse got up on its own and started moving it around wobbly and ate. 7 weeks later, I got a video from the owner showing me the horse had gained 260 pounds, was running around like nothing ever was wrong. And it was really cool TikTok video because they put it to Elton John Still Standing.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was great. And I said, hey, can we put this on our website? So we got the releases. We'll have that up real soon. And I mean, it was a touchy moment to see situations like that. And we're seeing it across the board, and the vets are sharing. So that's what's really helping drive our sales. I mean, I think when we were talking, we were probably in 15, 16 states where vets were ordering. We're at 47 states now.
Yeah, I saw that.
MWI. Yeah, so we're making really good inroad, and we're seeing the orders of the vets that have been using the product for 9 months to a year really increase in size. So the MWI, the initial order, they may order 6 syringes, and then when they try it, probably 90 days later, they'll come back and order like 16, 20 syringes per month. I mean, we have some vets up to 50 syringes a month, which is that's the type of numbers we like to see.
So, John, effectively, how many salespeople does MWI have?
They have 400 territorial managers and over 300 in-house salespeople. So we went from 5 to 700. So just based on raw numbers, I think our odds are good that we're going to get some traction. Now, we've also been training their sales force. So we train a percentage of them in Denver. They're going to be flying some into Minneapolis to do some training, and Dr. Manning at the AEP on Saturday and Sunday will be doing a seminar to all the veterinary doctors that are there, talking about our product and what we're seeing in the field. And some of the interesting things that we're seeing is we're having really good success. And this wasn't one of our targeted items, was ligament and tendon issues, helping them really improve at a very fast rate. It's like if you get golf elbow, it takes forever to improve. So how this happened was one of the horses was having tremendous issues. We didn't think it would help. The vet ordered syringes, injected, had leftover particles, and he just decided to inject the tendon. And he calls up and says, hey, the tendon's doing extremely well. The horse in general has just really improved. And then he just started injecting tendons of other horses and said, this is amazing. Our horses are doing really well. I had a situation 5 months. This horse has been having tendon issues. We injected it a week and a half later. There's no signs it ever had an issue. So all of a sudden he started telling other vets, and we're getting vets ordering it and using it. And they're showing us images of how lesions within the tendon or looking so much better after the injection. And our in-house vet says, well, he thinks what's happening is the particles are going in. It's because it's wet and lubricious. It's just keeping everything. It's like lubricating skin. Everything starts to mend better because it's lubricated. So he thinks that's what's happening. We really don't know, but it's working. So as long as it's working and people are happy, and we really don't talk about it. It's the vets talking among themselves.
So, look, just real quickly, in case whoever's watching hasn't seen the first interview that I did with you, and you can go back and watch that because it is very detailed, but just a real quick synopsis of what exactly Spryng is.
Sure. So we developed a protein particle matrix, which is naturally derived, that mimics cartilage and tissue in the body. And we sell this syringe to the veterinary doctors, and they inject it into any articulating joint. And once it goes in, the particles basically go into the area where cartilage used to be and settle in there and as a matrix, and it forms a scaffolding. And that scaffolding allows the joint to provide the protection where cartilage used to be, but these particles are wet and lubricious. So every time the dog or horse is moving, it's actually lubricating the joint itself to keep the heat, inflammation, and pain. So because you're not getting the bone-on-bone impact. So that's the innovation and the uniqueness of it. But it's something that just doesn't get injected and goes away right away. In our human trials, these particles stayed in the human body for a year. So we say it lasts for at least a year in horses and dogs. We have seen it last a lot longer. Now, in certain situations where a harness racing horse is racing every week, they inject it halfway through the season. We've seen that. But in general, you're going to get at least 1 year out of it.
Right. So, and I had a big dog, Doberman, right? So when they get big, they get older. I mean, that's what goes, right? The hind legs, the joints, right?
Yep.
And quality of life. You said it earlier. For Buddy, quality of life, it would not even have been a consideration, right? I mean, as soon as he started to show any signs of weakness in his hind legs and being able to get up or run around, right? I wish this was around when he was around, right? Yep. Because
that's one of the things I talk to people about is right now, when a dog has severe osteoarthritis or any kind of joint issue, and they come in to the vet, and the vet says, well, you really have two options. You either have surgery or you got to put the dog down because it's suffering so much. Now we're offering an option that is covered by pet insurance. Our intra-articular injection that we have is covered. And if it wasn't covered, out of pocket, generally we see vets charging anywhere from $500 to $1,000, depending on the joint and the complexity and which part of the country. If you're in San Francisco, it's probably closer to $1,000. If you're in Biloxi, Mississippi, it's probably $500. So it all depends there. But to do that injection, not only are you extending the joint life, you're improving the quality of life, because in every instance we've seen the dog have a very good improvement in mobility, and you can see the reduction in pain. Also, we have seen the reduction of the need of NSAIDs, the pharmaceutical drug that kind of masks the pain, but it has multiple side effects. NSAIDs will create gastrointestinal tract bleeding, kidney, liver failure, and it requires the consumer to give the pill. So our product does two things: provide the augmentation and protection of the joint, but also reduces the need for pharmaceuticals, which what every vet now today is trying to do, is to reduce that need on pharmaceutical products because they all have side effects.
Let's highlight also the fact that your product is all natural.
Correct. So the base protein is collagen and elastin. The carbohydrate is heparin. These are actually natural building blocks of protein and carb for your own cartilage. So that's all natural. So it's reducing the need for pharmaceuticals. Also, we're very ESG oriented, where 95 to 97% of packaging is fully recyclable. The syringe is the thing that goes into the garbage. Also, we're made right here in the United States, and all the sourcing of the materials right here in the United States. So there is no supply chain issues. We're not depending on China to send something over. We actually are Caligens from Iowa. So that's, I could even drive down there from Minneapolis down to Iowa if I needed to.
And you know, look, we talked last time. I mean, you had a lot of challenges when you took over, right? And then you had COVID, and I mean, you just had a lot. You've had a lot of unexpected challenges, but you've stayed in there, and you know, you've worked through. And now, I mean, this is like the beginning. This is just the beginning, right?
Well, you're seeing the revenues go up, and you're seeing the product being sold by MWI. It started becoming available to veterinary doctors October 3rd. So it's only been a little over a month, and we're getting very good traction. We sell to, so MWI is our customer. We sell to them, we get paid by them, and they put it into multiple distribution centers. We already had multiple distribution centers reorder, which is a very good thing in a matter of 5-6 weeks. So the sell-through is very good right now going forward. One would expect, as they use the product and see how successful the product is, the vets will start increasing their orders. You know how with anything, they try the product, they order a couple, and then also
Right.
they start ordering more and more each turn.
Yeah. And you said it is covered by pet insurance?
Yes, every vet that has injected a dog owner that had pet insurance, it's been covered, no issues whatsoever, because it's classified as a medical device. So it doesn't even require a separate code, because when a doc gives a script for a device, it's covered. And obviously it depends on the type of insurance you have. It's like humans now, you know, dogs have bronze all the way to platinum, you know. so yeah, it depends on the insurance.
I think what's really important to highlight here too is that before there was no other option like this, right? It was surgery, or like you said, put them down, right?
Yeah, when you get to that point, I mean, there's
right.
a whole spectrum of treatments leading up to it that is much more expensive than our option.
Right. Okay, so that's one of the points I wanted to make. And then also, I mean, instead of electing surgery, where you have to put the dog under, which for older dogs is a risky proposition because they may not come back out, right?
So with ours, the majority of the dogs, you would have to do the same thing. There are certain dogs that can handle getting it, and they tend to freak out a little bit when you're sticking them.
Right.
They move. It's not like a horse. I mean, I see our vets, they just flick the needle in the horse, it doesn't even move. You know, like nothing happened.
But for them, you don't necessarily have to put the dog under to give them the treatment, or do you?
The majority of the dogs, I would say they do.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, I mean, you still have to, I guess you still have to take the risk there, but they're probably not under for very long.
No, it's, because it's minimal sedation, because, you know, you're not doing surgery. You're just doing a simple, small
injection, right?
Injection. Yeah.
Okay. So, are you excited, John?
I'm extremely, because of the fact we're seeing the response of the vets within the vet networks talking to themselves, and then the MWI reps are really excited because they're seeing these stories about the, you know, horses and dogs that the vets are telling them, and they're able to offer a new product, and we're helping them how to look at approaching the product, because right now we're helping veterinary clinics enhance their earnings, as well as providing a better medical outcome for their customers. Because you think about, well, if this vet's prescribing NSAIDs, they're going to make more money because they think they're going to make more money until we break down the economics for them, because of the fact most prescriptions now are not being filled by the veterinary doctor. They're being filled by Chewy, Petco, Costco, because it's like 50% cheaper. So now they just take a picture of the script and send it off, and it's at their door the next day, and they're saving 60%. Ours is only prescribed by veterinary doctors, and it only can be sold to active licensed veterinary doctors, and they have to do the injection. So they make less money on a nominative basis, but on a real basis, they're making more, but also providing a much better medical outcome for the consumer. And when the consumer looks at it on an annual cost basis, there is no comparison. You know, if you're looking at Galliprant, which supposedly has the least amount of side effects as an NSAID, is probably around $1,400, $1,200 to $1,400 a year. Our injection, on average, let's say $600.
Right. Unbelievable. I mean, to me, this is just a feel-good story all the way around, right?
Yep.
I mean, feel-good story, and now you've gotten through all the, hopefully, you've gotten through all the hurdles, right?
Yep.
and you went from a sales force of 5 to 470.
Well,
700.
400 territorial managers and 300
Right,
in-house
700.
Yeah.
And so now it's really just it's a marketing thing, right?
It's marketing and supplying them with the data from these small studies.
Right.
So the university study is the big study where it's pretty definitive, but talking to the veterinary groups out there that do a lot of volume, they said these small dog studies you're doing is perfectly fine for reasonably good adoption of the small animal vets, like the ethos study, I believe is dealing with the hawks or the stifle. And then you got the hip study with Innoviv, and then you got the elbow study with the University of Colorado. And then we got smaller studies. I think we're doing shoulders. Well, one of the vets, for some reason, he's kind of like specialized in French bulldogs because apparently they have a lot of shoulder problems. He's injected so many shoulders of French bulldogs. He goes, I should just write up all of them and give you a good study on them because out in San Francisco, there's a lot of French bulldogs. I think it's because they're expensive and rare, and they seem to have a lot of shoulder problems.
Wow. So has this opened up any other opportunities for you, John, since you got?
Yeah, well, if you look at the agreement we have, we're able to do other veterinary products. A lot of companies are coming to us wanting to partner, hey, we feel we have complementary products to Spryng, but we're focused right now on getting the Spryng out there, getting the traction, because the more it goes into vets' hands, the more it gets adopted and converted into larger numbers. Because nothing's 100% conversion, but we're north of 90% for sure when anytime a vet tries the product and then they reorder. But there are other companies, because the biggest problem, a lot of the smaller microcap companies, is they can't afford to build their own in-house sales force. It'll take a lot of time, very expensive, a lot of downtime to train them. Here, we have a sales force that's already doing business with 90% of the veterinary clinics. And then we have the regional salespeople that already have a relationship with them when they were with Zoetis and Covetrus and Merck Animal Health. So they're totally comfortable in dealing with them. So when our salespeople go with them on major calls, they know they're going to be able to support and close the sales for them on these big corporate accounts, as well at the major trade shows. That's the job of our in-house regional salespeople now, is to purely support the salespeople of MWI, keep the motivation going, keep providing them with good literature and data from these smaller studies that we're doing.
It's fantastic. I mean, I'm happy to see this thing is finally coming to fruition for you, John. I mean, and your whole team, right?
Yeah. COVID threw us off a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I look at, when we talked about this, the company hit some hurdles that for other management teams could have done one of two things. They could have done some really horrendous financing deals that put them into a death spiral,
Yep.
right?
And
Or
we won't do that. I have too much knowledge of the capital markets and options to get into that situation. And, us losing 2 audit firms to PBCOB, if we didn't do it then, we're not going to do it now when things are going good. Okay.
and that's one of the things that's very comforting, right? For me, is your background in the capital markets, right? That you're not going to get fleeced by these financial institutions that seem like your friends and want to, help you get to that next level. They're not always your friends. They're not your partners, right? they're just, they're trying to make some money. That's what they're trying to do.
Especially now when, IPOs and everything are down like 85%. They're trying to figure any way to make money. I mean, it's amazing the number of calls I get.
Right. So, and that I want to bring it up because you've got cash, but people in this market, in this environment, especially with small and micros, are concerned that they may have to do a capital raise, right?
Correct. And we always said from day one when we went on NASDAQ, August of 2021, that we would need to raise money by the first quarter of 2023. The difference between us and other companies is that we hit our targets, and we actually hitting targets ahead of schedule, as well as we have relationships established, not just with the bankers, but with the actual companies that invest. We have one fund manager that has 90 horses. He's talked to 10 of the equine vets. He sees this as a long-term play, and he's not trying to nickel and dime you. So, we have multiple sources like that I can go to. And the more interest you have, the better you're going to be able to negotiate a deal. And actually, this tough market in the microcap space, people are really able to see the difference between how we're positioned and other companies' position. And we're making forward advancements while the other companies are just hanging on. So the funding is coming in not for R&D, not to build capital formation. It's basically to drive the sales, to help support the MWI reps with data, because data is what's really going to get the small animal adoption. The equine adoption is coming along extremely well because the equine community loves doing injections. They're so used to injecting,
Right.
Nortrex, everything. They have no problems. They look at this, they go, oh, one vet said to me, oh, this is just part of maintenance. I said, yeah, but it's not every month. He goes, oh, yeah, that's true. And the owners had no problem on the equine space. They, especially in the hunter jumpers, they said to me, this is cheap. And I go, well, I know, but they thought we should charge more. And I was kind of surprised that an owner of a horse would tell me that. But I said, no, we're getting market penetration. We want this product to be, spread into the marketplace and also translate down into the small animal vets. Because 30% of large animal vets also practice small animals. So we're going to get that natural progression there. And then when the studies hit, we're going to really, I feel that's a big inflection point where the revenue mix starts changing. Because right now, I still would say it's probably 85% equine and 15% canine, but it's going to change over time because
it's a much bigger market.
Yeah. In the United States, there's probably 55 million dogs and 14 million horses. So just by that ratio, but boy, you can do quite well addressing just the equine market and waiting for the data to drive the small animal market. Because the small animal market, the more data dependent, their biggest thing for the vets is do no harm. Second is, I need some data to show that there's some efficacy and improvement, which we're very comfortable. Our trials will show that. If they're not FDA, keep in mind, they're not for FDA purposes, but for marketing purposes.
All right. So I just want to really highlight also, so besides the new hire that you have in September, you've built an incredible team
Correct.
before that.
Yeah, our team, on the human side, they have run companies that are north of $1 billion market caps. Randy Meyer, my chief operating officer, he was CEO of Taxol Medical. TCMD, they went public by Piper Sandler. I think was like a 40 million market cap, hit 1.8 billion. Bob Folks, my CFO, he was the chief operating officer and CFO at Taxol. And actually, we hired quite a few more people since our last conversation. So I think at our last conversation, we probably had 12 or 13 employees. We're up to 22 and probably 12 consultants. So it has grown quite a bit and brought in a lot of expertise. We hired quite a few more production people, and we're expanding that. And we're probably going to hire another 4 regional sales individuals within the next 6 months.
All right, and then let's talk about the facility that you built when, you didn't stop. COVID hit, you didn't stop, right?
No.
You kept moving forward. You got a state-of-the-art facility in
Minneapolis.
Right.
Yep.
And
yeah. So, we were focused on building a very strong foundation to be able to really scale this company and scale it where nobody would ever question our ability to do it. So when we built the facility, we made it human medical device standards, ISO 5, 7, and 8, which are very high. That wasn't required in the animal health space. So we put that together. The facility is extremely scalable. Right now, the current facility can manufacture, when it's fully going, about 500,000 syringes a year, which from a revenue standpoint, top line is about 125 million. We can double that production capacity, probably spending another $500,000 in a little over 6 months. And that requires some more automation equipment and so on to get to 1 million syringes a year and 250 million top line revenue. And then, of course, we brought in the people that have experience in doing large scale human medical device manufacturing, specifically this biomaterials. Josh Wilhelm was actually with the company before I was there, where he was part of the human trials. He set up the whole manufacturing structure, but then he went to Medtronic and Schultz Diabetes, where they did human medical device manufacturing, pulled his team over. So we established the ability to scale the production up and increase gross profit margins north of 70%.
This is what I'm saying. You're the positioning. This is your time.
Yeah, and if you look at our website, our literature, it's extremely well put together, and that's part of our branding. We hired Russ Sickle so he's got 43 years in senior marketing positions with Zoetis and Boehringer Ingelheim, the number 1 and 2 players in the veterinary space in the world. And then Mark Middleton, my national sales director, he was president of Animal Health International, managed hundreds of sales reps, and that company sales, the whole company itself grew to 800 million a year in veterinary sales. So we got pretty much a dream team that you would never see at a mid-cap company, let alone a micro-cap company.
Right.
And our board of directors, I think since we last talked, we got a new director. His name is Rob Costantino. These Italian names, they throw me off. So he was president of Mitsubishi Credit North America. He was CFO at Wachovia Bank, CFO at Volvo International, a car company. So he's got a tremendous record. He joined us because he's a serial entrepreneur or just loves medical companies. And he said, out of all the medical companies he's looked at in all his years, he said he loved us the best, and he'd never imagined a company of our size having a team like we have. So he wanted to join. And then our audit team is, the chair is headed up by Leslie Coolidge. She was one of the senior partner at KPMG that signed off on SEC audits, and she sits on the board of the the accounting standards board, that sets all the rules for the auditors of what they need to do. So you can't get anybody better than that at any company, from my audit chair standpoint. I mean, you would see somebody like that sitting at IBM, as their audit chair, not PetVivo.
And all of these people are not coming here
for the money.
Right?
They're here because they love what we're doing. They see the product as having tremendous potential, and they're getting stock in the company as part of their compensation. Instead of getting an override on whatever they were managing at sales at a big corporation where they're getting a percentage of what the division does, they get very little equity. But when we said, here's the equity package, you grow with us, they got so excited. That's how we're able to attract these kind of people.
Right. It's a fantastic story. So, I mean, let's just kind of recap here real quick. You've got several potential catalysts. Because you got the study done end of October, right? Mm-hmm. That's going to come out in 2 prestigious.
Yeah, they'll put it up. I mean, you never know if the journal will publish, but at least they said we want these 2 journals, and they're high up there. Russ was telling me these are the best journals that you can be in. So if they're asking to submit it to those because it gets reviewed, that they have to believe it's likely that we're going to get published there.
Right.
But we're going to get published somewhere. It's just a matter of going into the top journals or not. And I believe we are, for these people to be asking that.
Right. It's it's not just that, it's all the anecdotal stuff that you've got going on.
Oh, right? Yeah. We have done thousands of horses and dogs, and the vets among the veterinary networks are talking between themselves and sending videos of how the dog's doing, how the and cats, and we had a parrot cockatoo, get injected because they live like 90 some years, and one of them had a bad leg and they injected, and somebody goes, hey, that could be a pretty good market. I said, they don't use much particles. One syringe can probably inject like 20 parrots. It's going to be a big market for us.
All right. I mean, this is, I would say, let's just take a look at the chart actually real quickly.
Sure.
And John knows what I'm talking about. This is one of the first CEOs that actually, when I'm talking this stuff, doesn't start to blank over. But the stock has been trading for basically a year within inside of a box. Is that how I like to put it, right?
Yep.
It's just kind of building a base,
correct,
a launching platform, right? The wider the base, I think the saying is the wider the base, the higher the space, right?
Yeah, because you're basically compressing something that's gonna, if it breaks out, it's gonna have a lot of momentum.
Right. So if you look at this, it continues to hit this resistance area, and I'm just going to call it $3 because
close enough.
Round numbers are always a big deal, right?
Yep.
You take out 3, it's no longer a $2 stock. It's a $3 stock, right?
Yep. And that 3, like you said, becomes a new support zone.
Right. And that becomes that area when you finally take it out. And I think when you do take it out, you're going to take it out with some authority.
Mm-hmm.
That 3 mark becomes the floor, right?
Yep.
And look, maybe people are worried about a capital raise. I don't know, but you just cleared that up. Look, you're not going to take a dumb deal. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Correct.
Right? You're not going to take a dumb deal. So I think you've got some catalysts. I think the product is amazing. I think you've got some catalysts that are coming up. You held the 200-day. You did just recently pull back. You touched that 200-day, bounced right off it, right?
Yep.
You've got a golden cross. You got the 50 that above the 200-day, which is very bullish, right?
That happened, I think, second week of October, wasn't it? Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, you got a lot of positive things here from a technical standpoint in a really shitty market. Right?
Correct. Well, we're outperforming everybody in our sector. for the last 90 days.
So, look, here's the way I view it. And I tell everybody, I don't tell anybody what to buy. That's not my thing. I just present the story and present what I see in the things that I think are important to make a successful investment and successful company for the long term. You built an amazing team. You are well versed in the capital markets. You have a product that people will call amazing, right? A whole new
We have heard many adjectives from miracle to, unbelievable type
right. I mean,
adjectives. Yeah.
you've got something that is going to make a lot of people happy, man. That, when you're put with that position of either put your dog down or, hey, give this a shot, and then you have the kind of results that you have. I can't even imagine the elation, the emotion that these people feel. I mean, it's just got to be. I mean, you told me the I'm still standing story with the horse. I got goosebumps when you said
Yeah.
that, right?
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that to come on our website. It's too bad the vet. I think these equine vets have to get more newer phones because the video quality was really bad. So that's what we're trying to clean up right now with software.
I mean, those are phenomenal. I mean, that's, to me, is phenomenal, and that's just going to continue. That momentum's going to continue, and when you finally take out this $3 mark, I think it's going to be a fun ride. But so I guess what I would suggest to anybody is, so the thing has been vacillating between, it gets down to maybe 2 or right around there, and then it bounces. If you're looking to, I'm not telling anybody to go all in, but I certainly would suggest maybe putting this on your watch list, right? Or taking a starter position just so you don't forget about the company. And, if you can get it close to 2, great. I mean, that's fine. But I don't think taking it at 250 is exactly a horrible thing either, right? I think this is probably a really good area to start building a position and start paying attention to the company, right? Put it on your watch list. Go to the site, to the investor relations portion, sign up for their email alerts. Anytime they send out any kind of an SEC filing or they have a news event, it's going to go right to your email. To me, it's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, and in this type of market, a lot of times what you said makes a lot of sense. Is you get a small position, and we actually have some shareholders that every day buy 200 shares. I have one that actually, for the last 2 months, have bought 1,000 shares a day. So he's picked up 40,000 shares so far the last 2 months. And he goes, I just love what's going on. He goes, this is one way I know I'm going to get a good pricing in. One day I'll pay the high, the next day I could pay the low. But on average, I got a pretty good blend here. That's the way he's doing it.
Absolutely. I think, look, we don't know what's going on with the markets. There's a lot of uncertainty. The markets hate uncertainty. I've been waiting for the capitulation moment. John and I kind of talked about it before we hopped on this call. I don't feel as though we've had it yet. I think it's coming, but then I think when we get it, then we will go back to this too shall pass, right? I mean, this will pass, and the markets and the good companies will climb. There's no doubt in my mind about that, unless it's the end of the world.
Then it doesn't matter.
Right, then it doesn't matter, right? So if you could start, just dipping the toe. I know it's tough in this market, but this is the kind of story that if it gets down to $1.50 or $1.30, you don't sell, you triple down, right? I mean, that's what I would do. Because the story's not, they're not going up. John, you're not going to file BK anytime soon, are you?
No. Are you crazy? After putting in so many years and all my compensation was in stock, if you look at our Form 4s, our management keeps buying, and directors buy, employees buy, no. And if you look at the trading of the stock, like you establish the box, each time the stock sells off, it's selling off to a higher low. That's one of the things you look at in technical analysis on the general trend of the stock. I mean, like you said, we're in a terrible market, but yet our stock is able to absorb that. And
I want to highlight that. I want to highlight what you just said, because long-term trend is your most dominant trend, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had a long-term trend that was in a decline from 21, right?
Yeah.
That trend line has been broken.
Yep.
And that is very powerful when you break a long-term trend, because what does it indicate? It indicates that you could be beginning a new long-term trend, right? And that new long-term trend could be the exact opposite of what you had from 21, right?
Yep.
So now it's going from the lower left to the upper right? Instead of going from the upper left to the lower right. That's what you've got going on. And now this base that you're building, like I said, is the launching platform, right? The wider the base, the higher the space. And I think this thing's going to freaking explode. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, from
right?
technical analysis, when you have a ascending line that you've got a triple top that you're going to break, that's one of the most powerful moves you'll see in technical analysis. And we actually are kind of setting up for that, the way it looks to me. But as technical analysis, it's a matter of interpretation.
And you're absolutely right? It is all, it is exactly that. But I've been around long enough and I've seen enough charts that I know when this looks like a very constructive, very potentially explosive opportunity, right? And I'm looking forward to the day, and I don't think the day is that far away. I think we do have to get through this capitulation moment in the overall markets, but then I think when that happens, is done. I think we start to go back to normalization.
Yep. And in fairness, I do have to cite that I made forward-looking statements here because my attorney's going to want me to say
right. I know.
Giving a technical analysis is a forward-looking statement.
Listen, it's nobody's making any guarantees about anything.
Correct.
Right. But I can tell you, John, you went through some really rough times, and instead of doing a dilutive financing, you stepped up to the plate and you funded the company, right? You and some of your
friends and family and close shareholders.
Yeah, right. I mean, you haven't come all this way to throw that all away, man.
Correct.
There's just
especially when sales and everything's going well.
Right. So I mean, look, I think you put this one on your watch list. You take a starter position. If it pulls, you look at the levels of support and resistance, and you look to add. I mean, and hold this as an investment, not as a trade. I mean, that's my view. So, John, I want to thank you for coming in and giving us an update. And when you have something significant that happens in the near term, maybe we can do another follow-up.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure talking to you and talking about the markets and the economy as well as our individual company here.
All right, John, hold on one second. I'm going to shut this off. And hey there, all you stock market junkies. Thanks for tuning in to yet another CEO interview here at Alpha Wolf Trading. Today we had a follow-up from PetVivo, ticker symbol PETV, and the CEO, John Lai. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, why not give us a follow? Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Trading wishes you the very best of success.